Today I'm going to show you how I built this 3-part workflow that allows me to grab YouTube transcripts, put the entire transcript within an Airtable database, and then I can actually later on vectorize that within a RAG-like system that allows me to talk to an agent about any YouTube video. So I can pick out little parts of the video, ask questions about the video, do deep research with the video, really whatever I want. But the main part of this automation that I'm going to show you is just getting the YouTube transcript into an Airtable database so that all I have to do is paste in a video URL. So let me show you this in action. Let's say I'm watching a YouTube video by Productive Dude and he's building a blog writing agent right here, right? Let's say I really like this video. I want to go in depth. I want to learn more about it, what he's talking about here, how he's generating blog posts. What I could do is I could copy this URL. That's all I've got to do. And then paste it in my form, hit submit. And now within about 10 seconds, this automation is going to run in the background, this transcript workflow automation right here, and it's going to add that YouTube transcript to my database just like that, and it's going to label it as transcript complete. So now, in a matter of literally 10 seconds, I have that entire 40-minute transcript in here from his YouTube video. And now what I could do is I could even vectorize this later on. Today I'm going to show you how to do this and how to get a YouTube transcript in here, but I want to show you what the future of this automation looks like. Now, you could do competitor research. It's even adding in the description here, some hashtags that he used. You can add in their channel tags, their video tags that they used. So you could do multiple things with that, but what you could also do is you could upload this transcript to a vector database, and you could actually talk to this transcript. So let me show you an example of that real quick. In this automation, it automatically adds that transcript to something called a Pinecone database. So when I hit test workflow, what this is going to do is search my table for new items and then add it to my vector store. As you can see, it created 139 new records for me, and then it updated my status automatically to vectorized. So let me show you a quick example of how this might work. Maybe within the video that I just got in here, I want to remember how long Carter said it took to produce a mediocre blog post. I could ask a very specific question about a certain part of any transcript within my database. And keep in mind, these are thousands and thousands of characters long, and it has access to all of my transcripts that I use in here because of the way it's vectorized them. It can pull certain parts as context. So let me ask that question about mediocre blog posts, just so I can show you how granular this can get. How long does it take to create mediocre blog posts without creating an agent for it? And it should say 4 to 5 hours. And it's going to go search my vector database. It's going to use this query as a small sample in order to pull information from the videos. So as you can see, it pulls directly from what Carter said. And keep in mind, I mean, I have like 3 to 5 40-minute videos in here. So it's pulling from a 40-minute transcript and then using that as context with my prompt. So these vector databases work like magic. So today I'm going to show you how to build the YouTube transcript automation that can pull transcripts from YouTube into your Airtable database, and then you can decide what you want to do with that transcript after. If you want the full build, we have it all within the AI Foundations community, but today I want to keep it simple. Now, the biggest problem with most people is they get stuck at certain parts of automations. They want to know how to build automations, but they're kind of stuck in this thing I like to call the template handcuffs. And they're kind of finding what they want on YouTube, or they're just going to communities and buying one-off agents, but they don't know how they work. So Carter and I, the person I was just using as an example, my brother, what we've done about that is we've created a community. In order for you to learn AI from start to finish, from literally the fundamentals all the way up to building these agent systems like I've just showed you today, we have an N8N course with over 30 modules now within the classroom section. We have all of the fundamentals so you can get up to speed. And this course goes over literally everything you need to know about building agents from the ground up. We have hours and hours of modules in here. And we also have agent builds in here that you can copy and paste into your workflows. So, for example, we have a deep research agent that does insane deep research for you. We have blueprints that you can easily download. So if you want to actually learn the knowledge it takes to build these agents, I highly recommend joining us. I'll leave a link in the description or the top pinned comment. And when and if you join, make sure you introduce yourself. We have over 8,000 comments on the introduction thread. We love getting to know you, and yeah, just be ready for a warm welcome. But with that being said, let's jump into this automation. So there's a couple of tools that you're going to need for this. One, you're going to need Airtable. You need a spot to store all of your information. Airtable is the best system for storing information. You're going to need N8N, obviously. That's where we're going to be building this automation. And then you're going to need something called Apify. And this is for very cheap. I mean, for 1,000 videos, it's going to cost 50 cents. So create an Apify account, create an Airtable account, and let's get building. First, we want to start an Airtable because what we need to do is actually create a database like the one you saw. So what I'm going to do is hit create. I'm going to start from scratch. And here I can just name this YTDB, maybe for YouTube database, just like that. And I can leave name, but I do want to rename that name field to something else. So what I could rename it to instead of name is video name. Beautiful. We can leave that single text. And then I want to change the name of notes to description so that we can pull in the YouTube video description. I want to duplicate that description field. And since it's a long text, that's going to work perfect for the transcript. So I'm going to name that field transcript and hit save. And then we need to add a couple of other fields. Let's add a field for the video URL. So what I'm going to do on assignee, or actually I can just delete these fields just so I can show you how to do it from scratch. But after you have video name, description, and transcript, make sure description and transcript are long text without enable rich text formatting. And what you want to do is you want to hit this add button. And where it says find a field type, select URL. You can type in URL, and then you can just name this field video URL. Then you can hit create field. And after that, what you want to do is you want to have a status field, but we're going to call this stage. So under find a field type, I'm going to type in status or single select, and we want to select single select, and then we can just name this stage, and then we want to add some options in here. So for option number 1, I'm going to make it green. Doesn't really matter what color you select. I just want green, and I'm just going to call this transcript complete, and then I'm going to add another option, make it purple, and I'm going to call this one vectorized, so we know which transcripts are complete and which of those transcripts are actually vectorized for us. So once that's done, I can hit create field. And now I'm just going to clean things up a little bit for our table. I'm going to name this YouTube videos. For our first view, I'm going to rename this all transcripts. And then what I'm going to do is in the very bottom left-hand corner of the screen, I'm going to select this form view right here. And then I'm just going to hit create a form view. And I can just label this new YouTube transcript. And I can create new view. And here we want to create a form. So I want to delete everything except video URL. So I can just click into these and hit this little eye icon on each one of the fields. Transcript we can remove, because this is the only thing we want to have to input into this form in order for it to work. So just like that, we have a form. And whenever you want to input a video URL into the form, you're always going to have to hit this open form button right here in order to submit that video URL. So next, we are good to go on creating an automation within our Airtable. So this is going to allow us to send webhook data to our N8N once a new video URL is submitted. So in automations in Airtable, what I want to do is I want to add a trigger. But before I do that, let's add in a quick test field. Actually, we've got 3 of them, but I'm going to delete all these, and then I'm just going to add in a field and label it testing. And then I can go create an automation because we're going to need to use that field a little bit later on. So I'm going to select automation. I'm going to hit add trigger, and then I'm going to select when a form is submitted. So when a form is submitted, I can select the table of YouTube videos. And then I want to select that new YouTube transcript form that we just created. And from here, I can just hit use suggested record. It should say step test successful if you created that test field like I just did, that test table, that test row, excuse me. Next, we need to hit add advanced logic or action, and we want to select update record. And we want to, where it says select a table, do our YouTube videos table. And for record ID, we can hit this little blue plus button and select Airtable record ID. Then we want to choose a field and make that video URL, and then add in with that blue plus button, again, the video URL. Now we can generate a preview. That should test successfully. And the last thing we need to add in is a run script. This is going to allow us to connect to our webhook. Usually when we build out agents, we keep all of our resources within our Build Agents with N8N course in the classroom. So for example, when we build out agents like this, we usually have awesome resources in here that you can use. So I'm going to copy this, but I'll leave this one in the description for you. and then I'm going to paste it in. In here, what you want to do after you paste that in is add some input variables. So the first one I'm going to add is record ID, and make sure you have this spelled exactly like I do. You want to scroll down and select Airtable record ID, and then video URL. Again, scroll down and select video URL, just like that. So now on the Airtable side of things, we're all good to go. We're going to need to come back here and input our webhook URL right there. But until then, we're good to go. So let's now go into our automation side of things, create a new workflow. And again, if you are part of the community, you can do things like this. I really like this. So you can download the blueprint, and then you can come in here, import from file, upload the blueprint, and it's all set up for you. And then you're ready to go pretty much. But I'm going to show you how to build this thing now so that you can actually get some good skills. What I can do is I can rename this workflow something like URL to transcript. The first step of this automation is going to be a webhook. So I'm going to search for that node, webhook, and this is what's going to start the workflow. For HTTP method, you want to select post, and everything else should be good. Don't give away your webhook URL, otherwise other people will be able to contact it. So what I'm going to do after I have webhook in is I'm actually going to grab this test URL. When it's production, you'll want to switch it, but test, I'm going to copy that. You can just click it to copy it. Head back to my automation under run script in Airtable, edit that code, and then where it says N8N webhook here, I'm actually going to paste that in. And now we can actually test this out if we want, but I know it works, so I'm just going to get into building. What we want to add after this webhook field is a set field so that we can set that URL. So I'm going to grab this set field right here, and then I'm going to rename this just so I can stay organized to URL. And then I want to add a couple fields in here. I want to add a URL field, and then I want to also add a record ID field so I can update the record ID once it's been complete if I ever need to. And now I'm going to need to send some data here in order to map these values. So what I can do is I can hit test workflow, and now it's waiting for me to test this out. So what I could do is I could just hit finish editing on this automation, turn it on, and now I can go to my form and actually just kind of run through this how I would want to. So I'm going to go to YouTube. So let's say I want to grab this video transcript. Again, we're in a testing phase, so this isn't actually going to pull me the transcript, but just for testing purposes, I'm going to grab this and then go paste it into that form. Make sure that this is waiting for an event. Make sure that you hit test workflow. Maybe I'll even hit save up there. And then I'm going to hit submit. And this test data should send through to this webhook request, just like that. So now that that data sent through, that means our form was hooked up correctly in our automation. So now that that's successful, what I can do is I can click in here and I can map all of the data that's being sent from the webhook. So I can map record ID and video URL. So I'm going to drag video URL under video URL right there, record ID under record ID, and boom, just like that, we have these two fields set. Next, what we want to do is we want to set up our Apify actor. So in the description, I'm going to have this YouTube scraper right here. When you hit try for free, you can go to the console and you can set this thing up. The main thing that you're going to want to do is create an Apify account, add a card so that they can charge you the 50 cents per 1,000 videos pricing model. And then you want to go to your settings, and you want to navigate to API and integrations. Here you're going to be able to access your personal API token. So you can create a new token, give it a description if you want. I'll just name this for test video delete, just so I remember to delete this. And then I'll hit create, and that will create a new key for you. What you can do is save that for later. We're going to come back to that. Within your automation, you want to click this plus button after URL and add an HTTP request. Here, I have a curl or a CURL import that you can use. Usually, again, this stuff is always in the community, always have the good resources, but I'm going to copy this. This will be in the description for you. And then I'm going to, where it says import CURL, I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to paste it in, and I'll hit import. And then from here, really all you have to do is paste in your API key, and then also change this to using JSON and add in another field, which I'll also have in the description for you. So first, let's focus on the API key. I'm going to go to my Apify account and grab that API key that I just created. I'm going to come back to the automation, and I'm going to paste it in right there. Don't show that to anybody. I'm going to delete it after this video. And then for this body content type, you want to change specific body to using JSON. And then you want to paste in the JSON that I've left you in the description, which I'm going to grab for my community. But I'm going to paste that in here, and this should be all good to go. This is a dynamic field, at least it needs to be a dynamic field. So what I want you to do is change this from fixed to expression, and now this is dynamic for whatever URL comes in. And now that we have all of this complete, what I want to do is I want to test this. But first, let's go back and still use our test data, but let's actually test this URL step to make sure that we get an output right here. So I'm going to hit test step. We've got an output. Now I want to go back to the HTTP request, and then I want to open up this and make sure that we have a YouTube video URL in the green over here as the result. And then I want to hit test step. If you've set it up just like me, this should go through and this should work. As you can see, we get everything about the video, the description, the channel. We get literally everything. Thumbnails, which is really cool. We get everything. So this is very good. What we need to do next is set up a request to get a transcript. So what I can do after this HTTP request right here is select this and do another HTTP request. And this is just going to be a GET request. And where it says URL, we want to pull in a specific point of data. And that specific data we need is all the way down at the bottom. It's going to be under all of the adaptive formats. And what you're looking for is the caption tracks base URL. You can drag and drop that over in URL. And now when we test this step, what you're going to notice is it actually pulls over the entire transcript in this weird format. So let's format that with a code node. So I'm going to head up here and type in code, and then I'm going to select this code node. And then again, in the description, I'm going to have in one Google Doc probably all of this information for you for free, but I'm going to go back to my community where I keep all the good stuff. And then I'm going to drag, copy, and then paste in this code to this code node right here after I connect it to the HTTP request. So I'm going to delete all that out of here, and then I'm going to paste in the new stuff. And this is going to format it from looking like this big jumbled mess to being one cohesive transcript. So when I run this code, I'm just going to do a test run real quick. As you're going to notice, it cleans it up completely for us. And now we can actually just start appending everything back to the database now that we have this transcript. So the next step is to merge everything. So I'm going to select this merge tool. And for number of inputs, we want 3. And then I can drag this up here. And the first merge that I want is going to be from the URL field. So I'm going to drag the URL field to input 1. The next is going to be from this HTTP request, the video details field. I'm going to drag that to number 2. And then the last, of course, from this code node, all to input 3. So now I can just test run this to show you how it's pulling in. As you can see, it's giving me 3 items right here. So we need to aggregate that into 1. So I'm going to type in aggregate in order to combine this. And then I just want to select all item data into a single list. I can test step. And what that's going to do is completely create one list of all the data that I need. And lastly, we just need to append this to our Airtable. So these are some utility nodes. If you don't know what utility nodes are, then you should probably learn them. Again, we have them in the course up here. Noding over coding, we go over all of the node types in order to completely understand N8N. But for now, let's just append this back to our database. So what we want to do is we want to select this and type in Airtable. And we want to actually update a record. And this is going to append the transcript to our Airtable record. So let's create a new Airtable credential. If you're signed into Airtable, you can go to this URL right here, airtable.com/create/tokens/new. You can give your token a name. So I can call this YT transcript agent. Doesn't really matter if I spell it wrong, delete, so I know how to delete it. And I'm going to add a scope. The scopes you want to add are data.records_read, data.records_write, and also schema.bases_read. I'm going to add a base. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the database that we created for this video. And then I'm going to select create token. Here you have another API key you don't want to show anybody. I'm going to copy that, hit done. And then I want to go back to my URL to transcript workflow and paste in that access token and then hit save. Now that's connected to our database that we created, which is very nice. We can edit it within N8N now. So I'm going to X out of there, X out of there. What we want to do next is we want to select that access token that we just created, and then we want to update a record. So we've dragged the record ID of the page that pulled in from the URL all the way back here. So we pulled in the record ID and we imported it all the way to the merge field right here. So now I can update my record ID. But first we want to choose a base and then our table. If the table doesn't appear, quickly change fields and then it will appear. And what we need to do is where it says ID, we need to drag in our record ID under data. And video name, we need to drag in the title of the YouTube video. Description, we can drag in the description. Transcript, of course, we can go drag in the transcript. That transcript's going to be all the way down at the bottom under cleaned text, just like that. And then video URL, we already have the video URL in there. I can deselect that and stage. I want transcript complete. Beautiful. So now when we test this step, what it should do is it should update the last field within our database with all of that information. So I'm going to refresh my Airtable to see if that worked. Beautiful. Now we have the transcript pulling in, a description, we have our title, and we have the stage that it's currently at. So now this automation is complete, and I'm just going to delete all these test fields and try this out from start to finish. I'm just going to grab my automating research with AI agents video URL right here. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to select our form, open it, and then I'm going to paste in that video URL while this event is listening. I'm going to hit submit. Back in our Airtable database, it will have added that new YouTube URL. And now it's just going to run through this automation, get us all the data we need, and then append that transcript and everything else back to my Airtable. So when I go back to Airtable, as you can see, we have the entire thing in here with the transcript. Now, if you want to take the next step, you have the transcripts in here. I've showed you everything, given you all the resources to complete this. But if you want to be able to update this in a vector database and be able to talk to these transcripts, then I recommend just joining the community. We have the rest of the build in there, and we even have the easy copy and paste system. So in the YouTube transcript agent, we have all the resources used in the video and a lot more resources compared to what I've given you today. So you can go watch the rest of this in these next 2 tutorials now that you have this set up, and I hope to see you within the community. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video on how to scrape YouTube video URLs. This is something that I have thought has been very useful for me, because when I want to do deep research on something, when I want to talk to my transcript, or when I want to recycle content and create more content from my YouTube videos, this has been an excellent automation to use. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you think. Please drop a like and subscribe. I would highly appreciate it. If you want to become a member of AI Foundations, I will leave a link in the description or the top pinned comment in order to take you from the basics all the way up to building agents with AI. We break everything down. We make AI very easy to understand in our community. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.